exclusively on MTFB Radio. We're gonna rock your rock.
Nikos is doing an awesome job here. We're cruising along, traversing the continent of Satori. Kikos told me that I misgendered him a minute ago. I referred to him as she. He's actually he. Hey, that won't be the first time I've done that. I can't keep you people straight. I used to just have to worry about getting names correct. Now I got getting gender. But actually, in my real life, back years ago when I used to be a hippie, I had long hair and I was misgendered several times. But we won't go there. We got some more good psychedelic driving music for you right now with Pink Floyd and Astronomy on 'em. Hey, it looks like SL decided to take a dump on me here, and it's locked up big time. Trying to get logged off here, but seems like it's got my computer locked up. It's amazing. My DJ program's still working. Sin, if you're still listening, I'll be back on. I can't even get Skype to come up right now, but I'll be back here in just a minute to give you a call to get set up for an interview.
You're welcome.
Wow.
The waypoints are loaded. Waypoint. Extreme left turn at next waypoint.
Dum-de-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Hey, I wonder what this room is. It's the master control room. Wow. Check out all these buttons. Wonder what this one does. On the air. Hey, I'm on the air. Let's just give Luke a day off. He needs it. And lock the doors. And let's have some fun. Because you've been working so hard. Hey, check this out. My name is Luke, and you're listening to Music to Fly By Radio. Or even better, my name is Mike, and it's now time for Biggie Stupid People in the News. That's funny, and funny is exactly the reason I am here. Because today, for Randy's Luke's Forgotten Classics, I'm gonna play a set for my favorite DJ. He was known as Dr. Demento. Dr. Demento was a radio broadcaster and a record collector specializing in novelty songs. He started his career back in 1978 and it went all the way up to 2010 on the Westward One network broadcast syndication. That's a long time. Some of his albums dated way back to the 1920s. I didn't even think they had records back then. So, but for now, right now, we're going to start you off with a song that paid Dr. Demento his name, because when he first played this song, everybody thought he was a little bit demented. The song is Nervous Norvus, and the name of the song is Transfusion. After that, we're going to walk into Hank, Steve, Dave, and Hank with My Dead Dog Rover. Then a little bit of Alan Sherman with Hello Mother, Hello Father. Then we're going to go star-tripping across the universe. Woo! Tom Lehrer is going to be poisoning pigeons in the park. That's not very nice, but it's awful funny. Chuck Berry will be playing My Ding-a-Ling. Leave that one alone. And the end of the first set will be...
Tooling down the highway doing 79. I'm a twin pipe papa and I'm feeling fine. Hey man, dig that. Was that a red stop sign? Transfusion, I'm just a solid mess of contusions. Never, never, never gonna speed again. Slip the blood to me, bud. I jump in my rod about 8:45. I gotta make a date with that chick of mine. I cross the center line, man, you gotta make time. Transfusion, oh man, I got the cotton picking convolutions. I'm never, never, never gonna speed again. Shoot the juice to me, Bruce. My foot's on the throttle and it's made of lead, but I'm a fast-riding daddy with a real cool head. I'm a-gonna pass a truck on the hill ahead. Transfusion, my red corpuscles are in mass confusion. Never, never, never gonna speed again. Pour the crimson in me, Jimson. I took a little drink and I'm a-feeling right. I can fly right over everything, everything in sight. There's a slow-poking cat, I'm gonna pass him on the right. Transfusion, I'm a real gone pale face, and that's no illusion. I'm a never, never, never gonna speed again. Pass the claret to me, Barrett. Rolling down the mountain on a rainy day. Oh, when you see me coming, better start to pray. I'm a-cutting up the road and I'm the boss all the way. Transfusion, oh, Doc, pardon me for this crazy intrusion. I'm never, never, never gonna speed again. Pump the fluid in me, I'm burning up the freeway. confusion. Oh, nurse, I'm going to make a new resolution. I'm never, never, never going to speed again. Put a gallon in the gallon. Oh, barnyard drivers are found in two classes, line crowding hogs and speeding jackasses. So remember to slow down today. Hey, Daddy, make that type O, huh? Attaboy.
Oh, it's a beautiful day outside. I think I'm going to start mowing the lawn. Hey, how you doing, Dave? Okay, Hank, what's going on? I'm looking for my dog Rover. No, got out, and I can't find him anywhere. You haven't seen him, have you? No? If I do, I'll let you know. Okay, sure, appreciate it. We'll see you later, Dave. See you later, Hank. Oh, there's that Rover now. Get out of here. You can't go into our mowing the lawn. Get out of here. Rover, get out of here.
I'm looking over my dead dog Rover, who I hit with a power mower. One leg is missing, the other is gone. The third leg is scattered all over the lawn. No need explaining, the one leg remaining is spinning on the carport floor. I'm looking over my dead dog Rover, who I overlooked before. I'm looking over my minced dog Rover, who I hit with a power mower. My dog's not eating, he no longer barks. He hit the propeller and turned into sparks. No need explaining, there's no dog remaining. He's part of the crash, you see. I'm looking over my dead dog Rover, who I sent to eternity.
Hello, mother. Hello, father. Here I am at
We interrupt this broadcast to return you to Road Trip
Campus
Blues.
Berry.
We're gonna rock your ride.
Entertaining. And they say
Okay, had to interrupt the music there, and hope everybody out on Drivers of SL is doing great. That's a fun drive for sure. That was the very first drive, I think, what Chrissy told me. And so she decided it was time to do a retro drive, and you could tell the HUD's changed quite a bit from the first drive. But anyway, I'm over here at GTFO headquarters at Jurassic Sim, and I've got the GTFO head honchos over here with me. So, Sin, how you doing?
I am doing great. It is fantastic to have you back again and interviewing us again, Lou. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great. Great to do it. It's been long overdue. But
Well, it's perfect timing. It's just like the first one you did was right after I had purchased it from Rez, and this is just perfect timing with all the changes that we've been doing and are coming up soon.
yeah, well, that's great. So, and that's what we want to talk about today is the changes. And just to start off with, while we got a bunch of people out on Drivers of SL Drive, go ahead and tell them what you were saying about the joint drives.
Sure. Would it be okay with you, Luke, if we finish introducing the rest of the team?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. Go ahead. You go ahead and
Okay.
introduce them if you want to.
Sure. So I think everybody knows that Res Gray originated Get the Freight Out, GTFO, and I purchased it from him almost a year ago. And running the show with me is Siler Avon.
Hello.
More than that, so come on now.
Yes, that's me. I've less coding, more schmoozing, I guess, is what I do. By less coding, I mean no coding, because I don't know how to do any of that, but yeah.
And our awesome, wonderful sysadmin and miracle worker, he's our code whisperer, Keith Denimore.
Hello.
He's also
Hello.
Yeah, yes.
If I had to, you have to.
Back end thing, look after the servers, move them around, make sure they don't break, and hopefully fix things and make things. Yes, back end.
You said
And oversee bits of making. Yes, go ahead.
you said Keith was from Kentucky, right? Okay, I can tell by the accent.
He's our personal James Bond on the team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, great. Good to see you again, Siler. Nice to meet you, Keith. And
So just real quick to answer the question you did ask,
Yeah.
Drivers of SL, Christy Sharon, and I do a joint grid drive every other month. And we have one coming up for February. Lisa Larson has created a love bug for the free prize for it. And it'll be a couple of days. It'll be on the weekend right after Valentine's Day. We'll be flying out of World Maker, out of Mark and Jones Airport up there. And it'll be air and then road, and it'll end at the Satori Crossroads that Chris is in the process of redoing. It's just amazing, absolutely awesome. So that joint grid drive is coming up, and it's really neat to know that some of the folks with Drivers of SL are hearing us too.
yeah, that's great. Because it is a joint, they're combined now. A lot of the drives, Christy has in the HUD to, if you got GTFO and you want to do it, haul the freight. And so that's great. And, how many GTFO hubs are there now?
And I quickly pull that up in the database. 552. Holy
That
cow.
many?
When did that happen?
552, wow. Yeah, because I think the last time we talked, you were just about to 400. You're real close to 400.
Right.
Last time we had a live show.
Well, I'm looking at the database right now, and that's the beauty of automation and Keith's code whispering, because we've been able to do that without the manual labor that was involved before.
Wow, that's cool. So 552, wow, spread out all over the place. Railroad, road hubs, truck, freight, air freight, sea freight, and space. How many? We have some spaceports, right?
We haven't opened the spaceports yet,
okay.
but we will soon.
Okay.
So, water, air, road, and rail.
Awesome. And that's spawned a whole bunch of vehicle creators to make new vehicles, and of course, a whole lot of hubs, a whole lot of building going on across the grid.
Yes, I think it's been a revival of mainland. It definitely, as I've talked with some Lindens now and then to talk to them about, tech support issues or whatever, it's interesting that they're noticing GTFO.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I knew the Lindens were noticing it, and there's a lot of people who never did anything like this now that have gotten involved in driving vehicles and flying and sailing and things because of GTFO. I've ran into several people. Some people that's come over and rented from me at Billy Bob, said, well, I never did this before, but a friend got me involved in this, so now I'm buying trucks and doing things, so that's pretty cool.
It really is, yeah. It definitely is.
Yeah.
So what kind of music are you playing today?
Music to drive by, just about. I call it road trip blues. I had some I did a little segment there. I did it last week too, and a few people said they liked it, so I tried again. Psychedelic driving music. But
well, I have a request. If it
Okay.
fits in during an hour somewhere.
Okay.
I guess you could call it a request or a dedication, but Nickelback's Sharp Dressed Man in honor of our Sharp Dressed Siler.
Okay. I'll get that loaded up here at the break. Be sure to play it. So, tell us, I mean, I don't know how briefly you can, but go ahead and talk about some of the changes that's taken place
I
here.
would love to. And
Okay.
and if people are on and they want to hop in the GTFO chat and they have questions they want answered, please feel free to do that. And if you want to hop over here to headquarters, you can talk in local and somebody will help me see it. But I don't always see local. So the biggest change, and seriously, like magic, is that Keith was able to take some code that's as much as, don't faint when you hear this, 12 years old. That's seriously old for code, folks. And put it onto brand new MariaDB with brand new PHP 7, and it works. And it's on our server instead of Rez's server. Finally, the old pieces didn't break, and we were able to get them together. I think that's going to be Keith's title, Code Whisperer, because man, he is just absolutely amazing. He was able to accomplish in days what other people had tried and failed to be able to do before. So one of the major tenets as we've been moving forward is to keep the feel of GTFO the same for everybody that's playing it. So when we change things majorly on the back end, when we move the server, when we change the database, when we make changes to how it talks to the vehicles, all that. We want it to feel like it's been feeling. So we don't want people to feel like all of a sudden they're playing a new game. And that has slowed down some of the changes that have been coming, but we have been successful at doing that to the point that people don't know how much has changed. I am so excited about what Keith has set up for us because we have a proper software setup nowadays. We have the live server, which we've always had. You know, now it's on a different server. It's a live server. And that server is the website, the sl-gtfo.com, https:// et cetera, et cetera. That pulls from the actual information in the live database. Okay, so the data that's on the HUD and the data that's on the website come from the same place. That is a first. And it's because Keith was able to move that. So we also have a beta environment. We have a whole bunch of bug bashers who test things, make sure it's not going to break before we move it to live. So we have a proper beta environment. And the thing that I'm most excited about is we have an alpha or development environment. So we have a place, a separate third set of database tables and everything where I can play with ideas and break things frequently and see, oh, I thought we could do this, but maybe we're going to have to add this to it. So a really good example is the automation that we're trying to bring to adding new vehicles. I know so many creators are tired of waiting for me to get to vehicle updates, and it's hard to explain why they take so long. But anyway, so after you play some music, I'll go into more on the changes that have come and are coming with vehicles and have come and are coming with hubs. With right now it's whole regions, but the things that we've got planned and in the works, and the other thing besides wanting GTFO to feel like you're always still playing the same game, the other thing is that we realize that this is all about community. This isn't just a game that people play. There are people who play the game. And it's the interactions with each other. It's the hundreds of people who own land in Second Life who are willing to share it with each other that make this work. We have almost 100 creators now. We have 93 creators in GTFO and vehicles that are used in GTFO. So it is very much a community. And without that community, we're not all the same. We don't all do the same things. We have vampires. We have tinies. We have sci-fi. We have kids who drive. We have people who want, you name it, any part of SL, there are people who do GTFO. So we're not a homogenous community, but we're a community that is inclusive and respectful and helpful, neighborly.
Yeah, that's good. And why is that? Why does that? I mean, could you go to other parts of Second Life and do other things in Second Life, and it's not always that way? So, is it just the nature of GTFO that promotes that? You think that it's not really a competition? It's just a way to have fun.
It's not just that it's not a competition. It's also something kind of. So this area where we're sitting here, there are more chairs here. We've grown, and we've grown in the land we have on the region. But Keith and Siler used to sit on the docks and talk to people as they would come in and out. And Siler especially would jump in group chat and just talk to people. And, he was joking and said, well, I don't do coding. That's okay. That's not what he does do. Is he encourages people to participate together, talk about their runs, share how they build their hubs, and it's given us ideas on things we want to be able to do so that everybody who has a hub would be able to share information about theirs. We're tossing around ideas and how people can, like say for instance, the manifests. Right now, Keith, like over the holidays, Keith wrote up some really cute items that people were carrying over the holidays. Wouldn't it be fun if hub owners could contribute or request certain things for their manifest to and from their place and things like that? So I think that helping semi-automate the adding of hubs and the adding of vehicles helps, because it makes it possible for it to grow with the interest. I have a lot of vehicle creators who have contacted me and say, I have no idea who you are or what you do, but I have a lot of people who do whatever that is, and they want me to put my vehicles in GTFO. How do I do that? And so now I'm not adding a vehicle, I'm adding a new creator, and they might have 5, they might have 100 vehicles to add. One person. So we have to change the way that we do things, because it has been all manual and all individualized. And for people who used to write websites, so they know anything about how websites are written, when the web was when it was first out there, it was just ugly text. But when it became pretty and somewhat designed and laid out, but stuff was still hard-coded on there. You wrote on the page what was there, and it was almost like a book in its consistency, and the picture was on the page. And in 1997, a company called Silverstream came up with the ability to have a database on the back end and sockets, so to speak. And this socket would pull from here, and you could change. And it was at first, what it was used for were national and international sales forces, so the people weren't selling the same thing twice. But it very rapidly became a dynamic environment. We're trying to semi-automate one of the changes that we're trying to do with the hubs, every hub will have its own hub ID. You won't have to know what it is, but the idea that way we get away from one region being a hub, and we can have a parcel being a hub. You could have 2 or 3 hubs with different hub IDs on the same region. You can also have places like Second Norway or White Star, New Horizons, Angels Airport, and they have more than one region, but they would have the same hub ID, so you know that you're going to the same place, even though you do certain things on this. Like the way that Donatella has it set up, you land here and then you drop the cargo there. So that makes it possible. Just the addition of that makes it possible. But Keith and I were talking today about some of the complexities of the database that adds. How can we do this and make our lives simple yet workable? We've got some things worked out. He's done some testing with an object that you can set out. And the next thing that we're getting to is that the server would talk to it. Just like, actually, we got the idea. Cy, would you tell them about your Stargate idea and where this idea originated last year?
Yeah, actually, I don't know how many people have or messed with the Alterran Stargate network, but once you place the item, it registers on a website that you can go and you can make an account and view all of the Stargates that you own and whatnot. So I got the kind of notion that possibly we could have an object that people can place, and it automatically transmits all of the location data to the database for us, as opposed to just manually entering everything. And so that way, if a hub leaves, say somebody sells their land and they don't inform us, because we run into that a lot, where there's somebody goes to take a job and they get there and there's no hub because the owner sold it or whatever, and they didn't tell us. This way, if that happens, then it will just automatically remove itself from the database, and there wouldn't be any more false jobs and whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm seeing some hoorays in the audience from that.
The Neo Realms fishing game does that. So you buy the pack and then you res the box there, and it automatically transmits all the data. I mean, you can set it up, select it if you want to be seen on the web and everything, where people can find your fishing place. So yeah, I mean, should be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, it's just we've been focusing on, with the server transition and everything, we have to get the base game down before we can really build on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The only thing, I guess, you just have to have people fill out a form to get the object to res.
That's a good point. You know how? Well, you may not know how, but many of the things that I do in Second Life to get an account on their websites. So, for instance, I do WK Breedables. To get an account on the WK Breedables website, in their case, I go to the WK central location, and I touch a prim that agrees to the terms of service, and then I touch another prim, and it gives me an account. If I ever lose my password, I have to go back there to change it. The Casper is similar, SmartBox is similar, so we're planning to do something on that order, so people don't have to give their email. We address some of the privacy concerns brought up by the European Union, brought up by Lyndon's Terms of Service, and all these different things by having your avatar touch the item in Second Life in order to register or change your password. And then when you want off, your data is wiped. So any data that we collect is anonymized. Say, for instance, we collect route data. We don't collect who took that route or what they did taking that route. We collect what type of vehicle it was. Was it a boat, a fixed wing airplane, a helicopter, and so on. but not who, not exactly what type, how long it took to get from point A to point B. And we might put in there what route, but you couldn't go to the data collected and go back and see it was, Joe Schmo or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We lost Keith.
Okay, maybe he'll be back. That would be cool. And say, for example, you could have different categories. Like he was talking about, people could pick different items different kinds of freight. So say you wanted to add a smuggling game element to it. So I've got a smuggling HUD here, and so that's what I want to be. So, and then it would set up that kind of freight going from my HUD.
Oh, smuggling brings up a whole nother aspect, because when you bring in smuggling, are we talking about player versus the environment, in other words, the game, or are we talking about player versus player? So you can think of that in terms of games that video games that you play on, I don't know, I watch my grandkids play on Xbox or whatever.
Right.
So, are you playing against another person, or are you playing against the computer? That's a huge issue.
I mean, you can make it as complicated. I wasn't even thinking about that competition part. I was just thinking about, because we did a hub crawl where we made it like a smuggling one, and we did the drop zones. We just had people, we had to go to airports and fly and drop something in the drop zones. So, that kind of thing. So, I mean, if you want to make it where they're competing against somebody else, that's fine. But I'm just talking, not going any beyond what you've already got, and just saying you have this certain set package of stuff. Yeah, that would be what you were hauling. It wouldn't be any different than what you're doing now, other than that I just picked up a load of moonshine or whatever, a box that I don't know. No questions asked, I just have to deliver it. Something like that. A mystery box, something.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting to me when we first started with when owning the game is that people had all kinds of ideas about smuggling, and some people want to be the interdictors, and some people want to be the smugglers.
Yeah. And
if you're smuggling, then if you're doing a regular run, can they attack you as pirates? I mean, it just opened up a huge can of worms, and the big question that's looming is, would it be player versus player, player versus the environment? If it's player versus the environment, how do you involve role play in it? So we're still back at things like how do you automate adding vehicles? Okay, so right now, every vehicle is hard-coded into the database. And like, for instance, if you do your show hide cargo, that is hard-coded into the database. I want to make it so that we can have a note card in the vehicle, and on that note card, the person can carry 5 items today, tomorrow they can carry 30. And that note card number, that place in the note card, will tell the dock and HUD. The HUD tells the dock how long it has to do this thing. The note card tells it how many things it's doing. And then you can hide or unhide 1 thing, 5 things, 30 things, but it's changeable. It's no longer hard-coded into the database. You see what I'm saying?
I see.
Right now, there are 9 types of cargo. 9. And each one has a different weight, a different value. The number of those times that value gives you your actual FU. So when you see something has a such and such FU, it doesn't really have that. It has these things that go on in the background that give it that. What I want to change it to is all, and in order to automate adding vehicles, make it so that people don't have to put an object in there. There would have to be a script put in there, but you could just drop the script in there. You don't have to know much about anything. You can just hold, like putting a note in somebody's Dropbox.
Yeah.
And then you drop that in there. But that's all you'd have to do. And it would read a key that's in the vehicle and that key to the database. And then it would look at right now there's small, medium, and large sizes. We are in the process of changing from that to extra small through extra large. So that's 5 sizes. And then having specifications. In the case of boats, it's by length, not length of the hull, not length of the stuff that sticks out from it. With fixed-wing airplanes, it's by the wingspan. With helicopters, it's more by the potential that it can carry. So there may be a helicopter that takes up as much space when it lands as another helicopter, but one of them can carry stuff with the winch and the other one can't. That one that can carry stuff with the winch gets a heavier rating. So there are now 5 different sizes of helicopters, but or there will be shortly. We've done all that. With road vehicles, it's by definition. So manual things, bicycles, horse carts, motorcycles, and itty-bitty sports cars are going to be extra smalls. Smalls are like personal vehicles, what the Army calls a POV, including a pickup truck. Delivery vans, things like that is the next size vehicle. Then you have the large trucks, like, say, Swee's curtain side truck. And then you have the huge trucks, like the trucks the really big truck that Claire made, or the ones that Tech makes, so every medium-sized road vehicle would have the same FU value. So we're going to change things in the back end so that now we control it in the database, not in each individual record of the data. And it's a huge project, and I'm trying to do that at the same time that I'm getting this wonderful positive response of, oh my God, I have how many to add? and we haven't totally automated it yet. So our code whisperer, Keith, made this amazing thing that Kitten Sue Landar, who does the Sunday LCC cruises, is our intake person who helps me prep the vehicles for FUs. And she or I will sit in a new vehicle, in a vehicle we're entering in the database, and we click the HUD, and it's so much easier to add, but we still have to add all the individualization in every record right now. Once we get the system switched over, and we have the 5 sizes, we can say all extra large ships have this FU. All medium-sized road vehicles have this FU, and so on. And then we can look at how do we make it fun to play in something that can only carry 6 duffel bags. You know, well, how do we approach this when you've got a huge container ship that can carry this, and then you have this? So how do we make it fun for everybody? You know, so.
I see your dilemma. I mean, I see your. I guess it's more of a challenge than a dilemma.
Yeah. So right now it is taking a long time to get those things added because every time I add one individualized, I have to go back and change that. Yeah. So I'm trying to stem the tide of the ones I have to go back and change and make them ones we're changing to. And we just ran into one more little thing in the alpha stuff. Keith and I were talking about that. Was that earlier today, Keith? We thought we had a solution that was going to work, and it will. It's just going to require some more database work to get it to work, and we're just looking at. So what is that? You know, what is that? How do we do this? So for right now, we're semi-automated. One of us sits, it reads as much of the data as it can, and then I go in and enter the rest manually. But at least I'm not entering everything manually.
Okay, let's hold it right there and take a break. I passed you all a question from Kat, and let's take a little music break, give you a chance to look at that. And I don't know if we have any other questions in yet? I haven't really.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so let's come back and start answering some questions from the folks. How you like that? And you said, what was your request again? ZZ Top, Sharp Dressed Man?
Well, it's easy to be okay. I said Nickelback, but either one.
I don't see it from Nickelback. All I've got ZZ Top. They were the original.
Fine. He's good.
All right, so we'll do a little break here, play ZZ Top and maybe one more, and we will be right back.
Hey, this here is Billy Bob Flywalker, and you're listening to Music to Freight By here on MTFB Radio.
New waypoint. There's all caution ahead. Be careful. Full left turn at next waypoint. New waypoint. There's all caution ahead. Be careful. New waypoint. There's all caution ahead. Be careful. Full left turn at next waypoint. New waypoint. There's all caution ahead. Be careful. Waypoint on 50 meters. Slow down. Slight right at next waypoint in 50 meters. New waypoint. Destination will be straight ahead. Destination in 50 meters. Destination ahead. New way destination used.
Hey, we're back here on the GTFO special edition show here on the Hit the Road Jack channel. Got Sin, Siler, and Keith with me, and they've divided up the questions here, and I think they're going to take a stab at answering them. So, Sin, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, Jilly asked a question before she had to poof, but we'll come back to her question in just a little bit. She asked about what is coming, what's next up, and what version 2.0 is going to look like. But Catalina Hunter asked a really good question, and I'm going to let Cy read that question and answer it.
Okay. Let's see. Our question was asking about ports charging taxes, export and import, and having to do with the smuggling. For right now, we need to build on what we've got, getting a better infrastructure on things before we can kind of focus on that. Smuggling is something that I have kind of wanted myself. I think it sounds fun, but we need to get the game in a better spot first, and then we can focus on like an expansion of sorts. Is kind of what I thought about for the smuggling operations. I mean, there's a lot of merit to it. I think we could have a lot of fun with it. It's just it's going to be something that's going to take a lot of development, and but yeah, it's
not. In other words, it's not the next thing out of the chute.
Right, but it is something that I think we could develop.
The other thing too, Si, that I've had people ask me is, you're not going to force me to do smuggling, are you? And I think you bring up a good point there. Right.
If it would be in like I said, I don't do a whole lot of any coding at all, so I don't know how practical it would be. But I've seen like expansion HUDs to where you can use the quote unquote smuggling HUD to where you could do that, but then you could use the normal GTFO HUD if you just want to run normal freight and just visit ports and take and deliver and whatnot. So you wouldn't have to be involved in the smuggling system. It would be an opt-in. You put that HUD on if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we do have coming that Jilly was asking about that, and it kind of relates to drivers. We got this idea from our first joint grid drive. In Christie's HUD, people can ride along as passengers, and as long as they meet all the waypoints, they can get the gift at the end also. Well, in GTFO, it's only the person who owns the vehicle and is wearing the HUD. But we have the groundwork laid so that hopefully in 2.0, when that comes out, you'll be able to have up to 3 crew members. So you can have the equivalent of passengers. You can have people who ride along with you. We've got to work out the details of